Welcome back, guys, to the Oceanic Pro League. Still sitting here alongside Soulstrikes and Froskerin, looking to get into Game 1 of Chiefs versus Sin Gaming. There was a slight delay due to some connection problems with one of the Sin members, so we are going to get in Champion Select as soon as possible. They have been dock banned, but Atlas will bring you up to speed with all of that in just a moment. Do want to touch base on this game, though, because I want to go back to, this is a semi-final rematch, and these two teams, Sin during the regular season, were able to upset the Chiefs, and what would they have learned from that experience? Because this has to be confidence building going into the Chiefs, because they didn't look their usual self at IWCI.
Chiefs, yeah, they went to international wildcard and didn't perform well, but now with the gaming house in their hand, they'll just get stronger and stronger.
Is that how it works, though? We have three teams in gaming houses, and one certainly looks stronger and stronger, Sol. But we look over at the Hellions, and they had a very disappointing first split. Is the gaming house really this magical solution to all of life's problems?
I believe it does help. It definitely helps. Having the player next to each other and having the players live together and get along and know each other. Then on the Rift, they play together and kill stuff together, and yeah, I think it definitely helps do the VOD reviews with together, and yeah, I think it just helps immensely, and Chiefs are on the right direction and going for the gaming house.
I think it's not necessarily just the gaming house itself, but the fact that the environment allows accountability and responsibility to be more direct, and I think it can translate into varied results, obviously Legacy on one spectrum and the Hellions on the other spectrum, but I think the core idea here is to never bet against the Chiefs. Yes, Sin did have their incredible Cinderella story running through the super week of the OPL, but unfortunately it drew a little bit short in the semifinals. They weren't able to close it out. And the fact of the matter is it was under the context that the Chiefs didn't have Swiffer. And when Swiffer came back on the back half of the OPL, the Chiefs suddenly went from kind of mid-tier to skyrocketing back up to the top side. Now Swiffer has the entire offseason underneath his belt, as well as the gaming house there. You just have to, you can't bet against them. You just have to assume that the Chiefs are going to be a more dominant force than we've ever seen them before, because they have the practice, or theoretically should have the practice behind them for it.
All right, so with that in mind, I guess going into this Sin Gaming matchup, it is going to be an uphill battle. What do you want to see out of Sin Game 1 to really push the Chiefs and see if they can snag this first win?
I'd like to see more. Well, especially Juves, I wanted him to go into enemy jungler, Chief jungle, and just dominate, show that he can carry with Nili, Kindred, or the Graves jungle pick, and just out jungle Spooks, which relieve pressure for Rymeister to carry more. And if Juves does fill that role, Sin's going to have easier time going in their winter condition.
No, I agree with Soulstrikes. I do think that it comes really up to Juves to make sure that he can survive Spooks' pressure and that he can keep up with him. We see a lot of focus around the mid lane, and so I think this is going to be a very heavy 2v2 jungle mid duo contest.
So with that in mind, I guess with all the changes in here, is keeping down Swiffer really enough? If you get Rymeister ahead, are you going to be able to beat this lineup? Because some would argue that the bottom lane is very strong right now for it's pretty much Radier's meta, right?
Yep. No, that does make sense, because we talk about this all the time, that Swiffer is just going to neutralize. He's going to be a factor no matter what, whether he's down or whether he gets ahead. And it's Radier that's been the true carry of the Chiefs. We saw that in the best of 5 against Legacy. It's Radier's meta. That said, Raps is the big question mark here. Can this guy keep up with a god? Because he's going to get to play across one.
Yeah, perhaps maybe Raps could pull out the Twitch and put the 4-man gank mid and get Rymeister and Raps ahead with a Twitch pick, perhaps.
Yeah, of course, that's what we saw a lot, especially LPL, LCK saying that, teams saying that Twitch is going to be that off-meta counter against Lucian. It puts a lot of pressure on the Lucian lane, especially with the newer builds coming out. So I guess with all that in mind, want to go down the lines. I guess it's opening night for us. You've already done this publicly, I believe, but can I get your predictions for set 1? Who's going to win this and why?
Like I said, and I talked about it in the gaming house thing, you can't go against the Chiefs. The thing is I'm a massive Sin fan. I'll say that publicly, actually. I love that team. I love how smart they are. But I've always been a huge fan of the Chiefs as well, and I think the Chiefs have it.
Yeah, personally, I'm a Chief fan, but as an analyst, I think Chiefs are going to take this.
Well, there you go, guys. Desk is in, I guess, full support of the Chiefs tonight and thinking they can take this one out. However, they are battling for their spot at the OPL final, and you guys could be there too. Friday night, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. OPL final tickets will go on sale. It's in Brisbane, Queensland, for those wondering at home. So jump over to the website, have a look at that. However, the players are finally ready to get onto Summoner's Rift for Game 1. So here is Rusty and Atlas to take us there.
Thank you very much, Spawn. We are finally here at the caster desk. I'm, of course, Max Alice Anderson. This is Zach Rusty Pie. We're getting so keen, we're already into Champion Select. It's just ridiculous. But, Rusty, finally, I want to talk about this first up. Squiggle, back in the OPL, former teammate of yours.
He may well be, exactly. Squiggle, long-time player in the Oceanic Leagues, but hasn't really had a long standing in the OPL. So he's actually, before the OPL existed, you would find Squiggle playing League of Legends in competitive teams with myself. You're absolutely right. And
Good old Eviscerate
there is,
days.
as the desk mentioned much earlier in their segments, a very consistent top laner. He's reliable, but he is a team role player. He doesn't hard carry really ever. He's always got that potential, though.
Yeah, it's very true. Of course, I think last time we saw him in the OPL, he was playing that Mundo.
Yes,
I
it
don't
was
know,
Mundo.
completely ridiculous stuff. But, of course, played IESF over in Korea, represented Australia. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are into Champion Select here. Victor going to be banned away first up. And look, we can go into all of these mage changes. So much has changed. Of course, the desk did tell you all about it. But, Rusty, you're of a mind that Victor, pretty ridiculous at the moment.
Yeah, my initial thoughts looking at the changes even before the patch came out, Victor is must pick or ban 100% of the time right now, because you can remember the old Victor that was always around will make him stronger, and it kind of makes sense that he's always going to be present, as naturally he is banned away.
Yeah, blue side ban here as well. Of course, we know Swiffer is a Victor player. Interesting that they take it away, maybe with a different plan in mind.
Yeah, well, there's so many mid lane options available to
but
them.
what is their
right?
first pick choice here? Because Alistair goes straight away afterwards.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a mid laner. I feel like there are so many options again that it's not worth looking at. Lucian is like the number 180 carry that must be addressed.
Yep.
And so we'll see if they go opting towards that. However, Swiper might want his power pick in that top lane, knowing that Maokai is there. Echo's always a counter option.
Yeah, really good point. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, reminding you that Sin Gaming did lose 2 of their bans based on tardiness, getting all of their players in Champion Select. So, Chiefs now to pick up their final ban. It is going to be the Lucian, like you were talking about, so maybe aiming for Swiper's pick up here very first off. And Sin have only got rid of the Azir, and that is all that they're going to be able to ban this game.
That is a very interesting thing as well, because with one ban available to them, and knowing that they have the one ban available to them, they opt into the Azir.
They want to keep their side of Champion Select color coordinated, Rusty.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
What I will say, though, is that they are prioritizing getting Swiffer's champion away from him. Now, Swiffer doesn't have a one champion army by any means, but Azir is very much evident that it is their best mid lane option.
Exactly right. Well, the Trundle is going to be locked in immediately here. So the Chiefs not wasting any time whatsoever, as now Sin to pick up their first 2 picks. Of course, losing bans means that it's going to open up this Champion Select a whole lot. We'll see exactly what Sin are going to be able to take away here. Of course, Ryze a big pick still. But of course, that was the former meta, and we were wondering how things were going to change moving forward. But so far, 2 power picks that we have seen for quite some time.
Yeah, junglers are always going to be aggressive at the moment. You expect the likes of the Nidalee, the Kindred, the Graves, things that can carry to actually be locked away. So no real surprise that Juve has gone for the Kindred, the Ryze as well. First thoughts is that Rymeister is going to be playing that champion, because we very rarely see that in the top lane whatsoever.
Of course, Squiggle, notably a tank player more than anything else there towards the top side. So leaning towards liking the Trundle pickup, just because you can now not QSS the Subjugate.
Yeah, absolutely right. The Trundle
Guaranteed stats.
can also be flexed with Ejim, but having spoken to Ejim, he doesn't really value the Trundle too highly as a support option at present. We'll see if it's something that they are forced towards, though, when it comes to team composition.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Well, flexibility, definitely the name of the game. But Chiefs looking to lock away the next 2 picks. Of course, the first one very, very quick, but now taking some time to deliberate. Ezreal is an option, one I don't like as much since the Iceborne Gauntlet nerfs and things like that, but still very, very flexible. This is Radier as well, who is a ridiculous Ezreal player, always has been. And Spook's going to pick up the Nidalee, so power farming in the jungle. An answer here to the Kindred. Of course, we've seen Graves be successful against the champion, but opting to probably invade a little bit more here on the side of the Chiefs.
Yeah, so the junglers have been locked in. Naturally, Kindred has a lot of early pressure, but there is RNG involved. Nidalee being a hyper-clearing jungle champion can perhaps get to those marks quicker and stop Juves from getting those. So farm jungles across the board, Juves potentially having more gank pressure, if I was to summarize both jungle options. The Ezreal as well, you're right. There was a couple of nerfs to the Iceborne Gauntlet, and various other items that may make Ezreal not as preferenced, but will still do his job, right? Let's hit the Qs with the slow, actually apply the slow, have max cooldown reduction, have Nidalee to follow it up as well with spears, and they've got Trundle for disengaging. So in regards to how they're going to round out their team composition here, Chiefs, they've actually still got so much available to them, whether it's follow-up poke from Swiffer or whether it's hard engage, perhaps an assassin. Zed's always going to be an option right now.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And actually mentioning poke, Trundle is one of those champions that's severely melee, but does sort of help out in these sort of poke disengage comps.
Correct.
And you do have the likes of Ezreal, Iceborne Gauntlet, just slow people down, kite for days. Nidalee does a very similar thing if you decide to pick up that Rylo's Crystal Scepter. I do like what they've sort of built for here, and the Chiefs have been a team that build poke. I mean, we remember their Varus comp from last split.
Well, the Jhin Varus,
Yeah,
exactly.
just ludicrous. Of course, they're not going to be picking Jhin here because Radier is going to be playing that Ezreal most likely, but I like the idea.
So the thing is, and with Swiffer yet to pick, assumedly because the Ezreal has been locked in, they need something that can either combat the Rise that split pushes in a 1-3-1 that Sin are able to put into effect, or pick something that can just outright win a team fight when the Rise goes missing. Need to have something.
Well, we've definitely got something that can hop into a side lane and assassinate someone here as the LeBlanc gets locked in, and there's the Soraka. We did hear Soulstrike say, you know, Ejim's Soraka God. Not entirely sure whether it is Kuden levels, of course, if you remember Ejim's conversation about that particular player.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
To be fair, Kuden said he was the best Soraka player on the server, and he was the only one at the time. So the tier list may well have changed. We're yet to see Ejim play it.
There might be somebody else on it. Who would have thought?
Exactly. The sample size has grown.
Certainly has, but Swiffer now with a bit of a lane bully, possibly into the Rise, but of course flexibility is still there for Sin. Saving that mid lane pick for last is generally what they like to do.
Yeah, I think the end result here from Sin is even if it's not Rise mid, they'll pick something that does still want a 1-3-1. So LeBlanc's always going to be a good option for the Chiefs. Sin, if they don't do that, they've definitely changed their style in the offseason.
Well, Maokai being looked at there, so Squiggle back to a super tank there towards the top side of the map was something relatively predictable the beginning of this draft, but I do like it. And look, Raps and Rogue have been pretty outspoken. I mean, Rogue came out saying, you're going to see the OPL's two best bot lanes collide in this series. This guy is very confident. Of course, was all last split, but now with Raps with him instead of Cardred, still feeling very, very confident here.
Yeah, lots of positives to speak of about themselves here. Sin definitely is a bottom lane.
Always have been outspoken in a very positive way, this team.
Yeah, very vocal team. Naturally, who they're against, though, is an Ezreal Soraka. So you want to see the two best bottom lanes collide. What you're going to see is one going forward, the other going backwards. As this
and
bottom
never
lane
leaving
matchup.
lane.
Yeah, very non-interactive. But one thing to note is it's more than likely we will see standard lanes.
Hey, that's a really good point. And of course, if that does happen, are we looking at, you know, Swiper being able to bully here, the Chiefs looking to capitalize on these standard lanes with their bottom lane just going in?
Yeah, yes and no, right? So the Maokai into the Trundle as well. Swiper will naturally find control the later the game goes. He wants to be a split push threat. We might see the Ravenous Hydra as well, something we saw at MSI. The bottom lane, however, you would imagine that the pressure would be given to a Braum Twitch and they will have control of that bottom lane. So that's where the trade occurs.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is where is that jungle pressure going to go?
That is a very good point. But ladies and gentlemen, we want you to get on Twitter. Use that hashtag CHF win or the hashtag Sin win. And let us know who you think is going to be able to take down this best of 3 series. Remember, it is a legend match. The belt could be passed to Sin today. And of course, Sin had a great showing in their first game against the Chiefs. The first time we saw them last split actually provided them some momentum despite the fact that they lost. It was just a very, very close game and one that they used to say, all right, well, we can compete with the best. Let's just travel through the split. And we saw they did have that phenomenal Super Week. We are onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, for Game 1 of Split 2 of the OPL for 2016. And that Leopard moving her way up the Rift.
Yeah, Leopard in Italy, one of the lesser seen skins, but
what a hipster.
a little bit.
This spooks guy.
We will say, though, as mentioned, expect standard lanes. Level 1, though, can be a lot more volatile because of this. Remember when we were watching all of the lane swaps happen, everybody was placing deep vision, just trying to find if the other people were going to lane swap so they'd either get it or not get it. And it was a game of, are they going to? Just guessing every single time. This time around, you've seen a 5-stack from Sin. Bit more creative is the possibilities now from both of these teams at what they want to do at level 1. Not that I expect a Soraka Ezreal to do anything at that level.
Despite that, Ejim, of course, aggressively moving forward, gets that ward onto the Gromp that he just loves to do almost every game.
Yeah. The Ejim
Without
special.
fail, exactly right. One day, a team is just going to position themselves so they can kill him.
There's more than one thing that I will say one day a team will do.
I know, right? Yeah, well, Keystone Mastery is actually on your screen right now. The one thing that's sort of standing out for me here is the fact that Rymeister's gone with the Thunderlords. Not one that we normally see on the Rise. I mean, Strength of the Ages is one that we see a lot. Storm Raider Surge is another one, but not really that sort of very aggressively focused.
So you know the cool thing about Thunderlord's Rise is that if you start with E at level 1 and you hit the champion, you auto-attack in the middle of throwing the E because of the range differences. You'll always proc Thunderlords. If there is a stack of minions there at all, you'll actually like half health somebody at level 1.
Well, that's sneaky.
Very cheesy.
Yeah, Rymeister looking for a potential cheesy start. We'll see whether he does go for it here as Squiggle and Juves take the red buff. Now move straight towards... Oh, no.
And the worst part is the wolf stays there as well. Look at him. You can't get over the wall.
But it's okay.
You can't
You reset the
get there.
cooldown. We're all right.
What a disaster.
Yeah,
No
well,
big deal.
Juves just getting it out of his system, man. He's getting it out of his system. Everything's going to be fine as we move forward. Squiggle helping him out here with this blue buff. You can see a bit of vertical jungling. As we've got Spooks going for a bit of a full clear on the bottom side.
But it must be discussed that they are vertical jungling, which means they've swapped lanes.
That is a very good
And
point.
this is something that we didn't expect to see because once again, Dragon is a big deal. And the funny thing is, whilst Dragon's a big deal, you can see in the top left of your screen, the next Dragon, arguably the worst of the lot.
Yeah, the old Windy Dragon. So just going to give you a little bit more movement speed. Of course, the first one equates to about an Alacrity enchantment. And by about, I mean exactly.
And that's the thing, right? Like, it doesn't win you the game. The Ocean Drake has crazy amounts of sustain. The Fire Dragon scaling. Mountain Dragon means that turrets and epic monsters get taken quicker. The Air Dragon just means you get from A to B slightly quicker than you normally would. And as such, you can afford to swap these lanes and feel happy about it. They're also avoiding one of the more annoying 2v2 bottom lanes in existence.
That's a very good point. Well, you can see Sin putting a couple of waves into this turret here. Chiefs doing exactly the same thing. Everything completely fine. We were talking about lane swaps and whether they would change at all. The fact that, you know, the towers are a little bit stronger now. But looks like they are going to be able to do it with 3 people. Not getting the junglers over there or anything. So Kindred and Nidalee able to hard farm on the bottom and top sides of the map.
Yeah, sometimes it's very champion relative, but this time around they don't need to do that. They don't need to bring jungle attention. They can take it as 3. But it does also mean that your lane swap has to be impeccable in the way that you execute. The right amount of minions stacked up and timed well to ensure it's taken down.
Well, Rymeister actually taking a lot of damage here. Chain not going to land. Spooks pokes his head in. The Swiffer not going to be able to lock down the Rise.
Very chain-dependent gank, I will say. Very hard to hit a Nidalee Spear, especially when there's minions there. So you're even aiming for the chains to connect so that you could put a trap down and perhaps have some execute damage. Not to be.
Oh, Squiggle.
Calculated.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful timing. This man doesn't skip a beat as he makes his way back into the OPL. That's the first time I've seen that Soraka skin, by the way. Definitely approve. Thing looks badass.
As far as Soraka goes, it's one of the better things.
Hey, look, she's actually got some pretty cool
It's a
skins.
personal opinion.
Hey, that's actually a very good point. Very, very good point.
Not a big fan.
Of the champion herself.
In fact, I'm a
It's
human.
not about that. It's not about that. It's about whether or not they look good, Rusty. That's how I play League of Legends. That's why I play
Dragons,
only
that's
Mordekaiser.
That's the interesting thing. So let's actually go one step deeper. You lane swap, you go to the top side of the map, you put it into effect. You're on the opposite side of the map to the dragon, which is very rarely traded at level 3 because everyone recalls, goes to the opposite side of the map, and that is generally when the epic monsters are traded.
Yeah.
So if you're on red side, you go top lane, or you put the lane swap into effect in general, you actually have the positional advantage in the way of taking that dragon directly after your second outer turret.
Well, maybe the fact that it is the Windrake was something that the Chiefs had in mind. They're like, well, we don't really care about this one. So let's just try and push down this top outer turret as quickly as possible. 2 more minions remain here. Swiper does have the help of that ground in order to make himself a little bit faster with that attack speed. So they will be able to take it a little bit quicker than Sin, but they have another minion wave heading in. Squiggle lost a bit of his health bar, but everything's going to be A-OK. So towers traded, but a slight advantage here for the Chiefs because Nidalee been farming up a complete storm. Spooks just jumping around the jungle like you wouldn't believe. Slight advantage there for Swiffer there in the mid lane as well, but Radier, 11 creeps ahead on this Ezreal, being sort of fed a free early game here on this champion that wants to be picking up that tier.
Yeah, absolutely right. He has the tier and he will start stacking that one quite early in this game. Twitch does still want to get that early game going for himself as well, so falling this far behind is not a good move, realistically, for Sin this early, and we had a lot of questions about this player. Raps is the young, volatile player with a lot of potential, but we're yet to really know what he's capable of, and so far, not so good.
Yeah, and we heard like aggressive in lane, things like this, wants to be able to dominate, but in this lane swap situation, not going to be able to demonstrate that. It's all just about, you know, last hitting minions, getting as much as they can, sorting it out from there. Of course, not really a big deal, 14 creeps, but that equates to about a kill as they move back into standard lanes. But this is a big creep wave. We'll see whether he can pick up a little bit more here against Radier's Ezreal.
Yeah, he's actually he needs to go get some offensive items and he'll still actually find an advantage. The thing is, it's an Ezreal, right? And you invest like 750 gold into a tier that does not empower you whatsoever, whereas every single item the Twitch gets will do that. It will make him stronger and do more damage in trades.
I'll see whether, now that they do have that 2 versus 2, whether it is going to be time for Sin to shine. Spook's going to clear out a pink ward, set things up for himself, continues his parade through the jungle, extending that lead ever further. It's Radier and Ejim just being frustrating, able to poke things out, disengage if needed.
This is actually a disastrous start for Sin, plain and simple. Look at the farm difference across the board.
Well, Swiffer actually getting caught out of position here from Rymeister, but the chains will hold him out. Zombie doing some work for the Sin mid laner, but nothing really going to come from it. No summoners burnt or anything like that.
One small step for Sin. They don't really get anything from it, but that just shows the burst that a Rymeister or Ryze will actually have. I love how I was almost going to call him Rymeister.
Rymeister?
Yeah. Wow.
Stunning.
But as I was saying, farm differences in every single role actually finds an advantage to Chiefs. Usually that's not possible.
Yeah.
There's only a certain amount of minions available to you on the map at any one time. But somehow, through this lane swap in every single possible spot, they're ahead. That should never happen.
That's exactly right. I was actually looking at Swipe here, 37 to 24. Squiggle just picking up that wave underneath the top inner turret. But you can see Swiper on this Trundle, a real beast. It looks like he's building towards that Titanic Hydra, which you've sort of seen fall out of favor just a little bit as far as building towards that split push is concerned. I think we may see a little bit more of a team fighting Trundle.
Yeah.
A bit more health.
Absolutely. Less split pushing. He'll still be perfectly fine in fighting the Maokai with the advantage that he has. Just starting to recede because of the freeze that Squiggle got.
Yep.
He should still actually be in a comfortable position for this one.
Well, out of combat movement speed now picked up here for the Chiefs as they grab Dragon number 1. Our first elemental Drake to fall down, Rusty.
Yeah.
How exciting. What a monumental moment.
It's the no Phyto move speed.
No Phyto move speed. That's why Sin didn't go for it. Because Sin never do anything that's no Phyto. It all makes sense.
I apologize
now.
for even saying that now. Oh,
Come
boy.
on, man, you knew that was coming.
I absolutely did, and that's why I'm apologizing.
Yeah, it's all right. It's been a while, guys, since Rusty and I have casted together.
So one other cool thing about Ryze and why I think that he's still quite strong at the moment and very much in need of some perhaps tuning is the changes to
Subtle.
Catalyst and the changes to Tier. Is that when you have less mana than you have health, you regenerate mana quickly. I believe it is. I might have that one wrong. But Catalyst in particular is actually the outstanding, ridiculous thing. Is that when you trade with people, you get stuff back. Like, it actually promotes Ryze's playstyle a lot better than it previously did.
Which is very scary, because of course everyone knows that Ryze was pick or ban during MSI. Prior to that, all sorts of times. At the moment, he's going to teleport here towards the bottom side of the map, and it looks like Sin, something that the desk mentioned, 1-3-1 possibly in effect. But I'm surprised that we haven't seen Raps moving around the map. He does have that serrated Dirk movement speed boot, like Swifty's now picked up. This guy wants to be able to get around, but so far no aggressive moves have been made. And it's
actually clever.
Oh yeah?
So putting Ryze against Slifer is actually very clever. You have to remember he was zoned for a long time, and Rymeister has a 2-level advantage. So if he gets vision of the Chief's bottom side jungle, and feels a bit confident. He would definitely be doing well in those trades against the Trundle. The idea was definitely there. The execution, unfortunately, was not.
Yeah, Wave just going to be shoved into the Trundle, and Swipe is going to be able to pick that one up. Now Chiefs utilizing this in order to take down this Rift Herald. Spooks tanking that one up, already down to half health. It looks like Sin actually not going to do anything about it. They have a ward in the pit, and Chiefs just going to be allowed to pick up this Rift Herald. Oh, Rogue is going to turn up. There it is. He's going to fall down. Spooks was thinking about picking that one up. Flash already moved out here as Sin moved 5 members across.
They didn't get it.
Yeah, haven't been able to pick up the buff.
They can't pick it up.
Yeah, Squiggle's just like, I want it. He's not going to be able to get
It's
it.
going to time out, so they actually don't get it.
Yeah, so just wasting a little bit of time there as the Distortion is going to bring Swiffer back to safety.
That's huge. Now, you have to remember, Rift Herald spawns
cheeky.
once.
Yeah.
And it lasts 20 minutes, so taking that was very important.
Officially being nullified now.
Yeah, Rift Herald's just gone. Nobody benefits. So like 50 gold for the whole team.
Well, Sin benefit. I mean, it was 3 members of the Chiefs that beat it down, lost a bunch of their health bar, and then nothing to come of it. Maybe a bit of experience.
Really, nobody gets anything. They'll just have a really bad time.
It's just not a good time here. But Rod of Ages has been completed here for Rymeister.
As far as recall spots go, that's the weirdest one I've ever seen.
Yeah. He does have a pink ward.
If there was
just
a
over
ward,
there.
though, in that bush, I'd see him. You always recall just around the corner from it.
We'll have a chat to him after this
I
game.
absolutely
I think
will
we
be,
need
yeah.
to.
Even Radio, look at that.
Oh, goodness me.
Nailed it. Everyone's on wards.
Yep.
That does mean Sin have a lot of wards.
It's a very good point.
A lot of wards.
So if we're going to chuck one down there in the mid lane, does have vision towards the top side, but you're exactly right. Sin really starting to set up for this potential mid-game play. See the Blood Razor being picked up here for Juice. I say Blood Razor. Man, so happy. I wanted it to be called Madred's Blood Razor, honestly, and just have that weird hand again. Missed that item.
That's the weirdest looking claw.
It was so strange. And it's like, how are you supposed to do battle with that thing? It's Swiffer. He's going to head in. Rune Prison's going to lock him up. As Chiefs getting a little bit more back. You can see they're utilizing this Soraka very well to keep them all healthy. Primal Surge there at the same time. I mean, the Chiefs have a pretty sustainable team comp right now.
They absolutely do, and they always will as this game progresses naturally with the Soraka in Italy. You mentioned the defined composition. Well, that's it in full effect for them right now. Sin want to contest this blue buff. It is their own.
Oh my goodness, Juice takes half of his health from that spear as Spooks runs straight into a Rune Prison. Swiffer over the top! And Juice actually throws down the ultimate. Did Swiffer just get the blue?
Yeah, the end result was the Chiefs got the blue buff. All of that effort.
Well,
and all they get is a blue buff.
True Shot Barrage not going to find Juice, which is what Radio was hunting for. 0-0 still here at 14 minutes into the game. No one really being able to crack anyone's defenses just yet. There's spears flying through. Nice unbreakable there from Rogue.
I think I have to give a lot of credit actually to Sin's drafting. The more you think about it, the diffusal of poke they've actually got, even when the Maokai decides that he wants to start grouping and the Rise to split push, you can't get through that. There could be 3 of them there. Even Kindred, if it comes down to it, can pop the ultimate. It's actually very hard to breach the walls, essentially, of this Sin composition. In saying that, I don't think anything's going to slow the Chiefs down from actively attempting to siege based off their own draft. So there are very much conflicting styles present in this game, and to no surprise, I am going to say a lot of it comes down to Rymeister. But Raps is very important.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to say, just because they do have Juves there. With the Lamb's Respite, this Twitch could get a lot of work done. And I mean, what's the counter to single target healing? Well, just kill everyone at once.
Yeah,
That'll do it.
Definitely works like that, I think.
Oh,
Soraka's the prime target.
Yeah.
Most importantly, if they don't kill the Soraka, they're not killing anybody. Kind of way
Well, Robot Lady, you can see running past right now. Pretty quick at the moment with those Swifties. Ghostblade almost done here for Raps. Zijim setting up for Cloud Drake number 2, actually, so a lot of movement speed. And for this comp that does want to be kiting and moving around the map a lot, attacking different objectives, different structures, this can actually work out for them as they do double those stats. And Cloud Drake, actually, you know, of course, movement speed a very underrated stat a lot of the time. But as you stack this up, it becomes more and more relevant.
There's a reason that the boot and chance were removed, and that is because everybody was going for Alacrity, and the base movement speed was then changed. And it's actually a little bit hard to adjust to as well. So they're going to be moving really fast out of combat here, Chiefs, and it's something that needs to be considered. Translation between lanes, even for non-teleporting champions, they'll get to skirmishes quicker, they'll get to team fights quicker if they're out of position. It's going to work out quite nicely for them. I think it's now 30 base bonus move speed when they're not fighting anybody.
And if this is correct, we're going to get our third Cloud Drake coming up.
We are.
As well. So that is ridiculous. Immediately, we were actually having this discussion within the cast. It's like, what's the likelihood of 3 Drakes, guys? I mean, really, in a row? That's insane. But, I mean, it may not necessarily be the best dragon to get 3 of, but still, 3 in a row.
Yeah,
straight out the gate.
I'm going to reiterate that fact. I'm pretty sure Frostgurn will come back into the post-game analysis and give you the stats on that, because we did go through the exact percentages. Cannot remember it off the top of my head.
Rogue just going to tank combo there from Swiffer, but not going to worry about it too much. Unbreakable helping him out.
And still advantages across the board for the Chiefs. It just feels like Sin are just respondent. This entire game has been answering the Chiefs' call. The thing is, they're going to be calling quicker. They're going to be knocking on your door more aggressively as they start to scale with their team composition. And Sin need to find some kind of proactivity before it's potentially too late.
Well, Rhymaster may be a little bit out of position here. Chains do land there from Swiffer as Raps throws down the cast. Oh, there's a true shot barrage as well as Rogue looking to try and keep Rhymaster alive. In they go. There's the ultimate. Ejin forced to use that flash as the teleport comes in. Spook looking for it, but Juice manages to get the Lambs Respite down. Teleport coming in. Squiggle, that's an interesting move, but First Blood does go down as Juves falls. Squiggle right in amongst it. Keeping his team alive with that bounce from Maelstrom, but First Blood's already there.
Sorry,
he's actually just having too much of a giggle.
Zoning teleport. You got him. Sin unfortunately get nothing.
Oh, Rap's actually tagged as well. Swiffer flashes forward. Gets him with the Mimic Distortion right now as they're underneath this outer turret. Rogue's getting exhausted.
Swiper's dead.
Yeah, Raider actually falls down. Swiper in a whole host of trouble as Swiffer gets a double kill. What are you even doing there, buddy?
Wow. Soraka kind of keeping everybody alive, I will say, throughout that fight. Raider the only casualty, and you'd think Swiper was going to go down, but Ejim keeping him healthy. The Chiefs find one advantage. It's exactly what you expect. Sin show aggression, Chiefs kite backwards, and whoever comes out ahead in that first skirmish will generally stay ahead. And because the Chiefs have all of the healing, all of the sustain in their back pockets, naturally they put themselves into the second era of that, as we do get to see the zoning teleport. Look at Ejim. He doesn't want to go near that fight.
No. Who'd want to?
Unfortunately, the rest of this fight was...
That's called teleporting like
But
a
like,
flash.
look at Swiper's health. He has no health, and they just push this through. He still has a bit more health now. Ejim's been healing him up, and just aggressive dive. Swiffer, flashing block too even to put in that damage. Just look at his positioning at the top of the fight. Rymeister can't get in there, and he's still like well out of position. With the rest of Sin, they weren't even looking at him.
Yeah, they didn't quite know which target to go for there, as Radiant was the one that fell down. Unfortunately for Sin, unable to quite get that team fight working out in their favor. Chiefs, though,
down to the turret. That's the thing. Like, Raider died to the turret. Swiper almost died to the turret.
Yeah.
Swiffer was sitting there killing everybody. Like, get the LeBlanc.
And actually, you know, the LeBlanc now being the sole benefactor of that team fight, really. 3-0-0 now. And if there's anyone you want to be ahead, it's a mid-game LeBlanc.
Yeah, absolutely. And the disgusting thing is they don't actually need to breach this turret. And like that's a very silly thing to consider, right? But
yeah,
once they break the turret, it's probably 4 kills. And that's the way that this Chiefs team composition once again will work, is whittle your opponents down with the LeBlanc. She's actually a very good sieging champion because she can poke you behind your turret and then get the heck out and actually reset. Do it again in 20 seconds and the cooldowns are back. Nidalee's got the spears, Swiper's got disengage, and Ejim has disengage as well. Raider's always going to be poking. So once again, they're designed to do that. And yes, Sin, they've built a team composition to not die to that. Difficult to do though, because if Chiefs engage and you use your cooldown, Juves as an example used his Lamb's Respite, no longer available the second time, and the Chiefs aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, and immediately you see Swiffer able just to get into that back line, delete Raps, doesn't have that Lamb's Respite in order to keep him alive. It's going to be very important for Juves and Raps to get things together, because this Twitch Kindred combo has worked wonders internationally, and we know that it works. But now, falling behind about 3,000 gold. Might be difficult for them. Siege actually up here in the mid lane.
Now with 45 seconds or 40 now until the 3-of-a-kind dragon does spawn.
before.
The next cloud.
Pretty good poker hand there as Ejim is going to throw down the Q.
And the thing is, yeah, that's why Sin is starting to show this aggression. They do have a teleport available for Rymeister, but Squiggle's top without his. And if the Chiefs know that, they'll probably take this dragon on spawn. I think it might actually be up.
Yeah, 19 seconds now.
Racing the clock.
Oh, Swift actually looking for Rymeister there. There's the Mimic Distortion. He lands the chain as well. Makes sure that he grabs himself the stun. Rogue just going to tank up the spear. Spook's picking up that second item, Rylai's Crystal Scepter, ensuring that he can slow people down and zoned away. Sin unable to do anything. Looks like this dragon, of course, has just respawned.
This is a dirty team composition from the Chiefs. They can play this as slow as they'd like.
Rogue. He's okay. All right.
Yeah. Once again, even the Rylai's picked up first, Spooks. Says it all.
Yeah.
They just want control of this map to kite back and then kite forward when they're actually at advantages. This dragon is going to go down. 3 clouds.
Yeah, triple cloud means they're going to be sprinting out of combat.
Better than
applies
it worlds
easy tag. Oh, look at that. The triple buff gives you a cool little thing behind you. Oh no, just as you get it. Never mind. Oh no, Swift is just in combat with the minions.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just
Probably
really
going to
excited.
recall as well to ruin it. Yeah, he is.
Oh, that's
Now I
okay.
just don't know
That's
what you
okay.
mean.
Can we go to the bottom lane? Let's just watch Swiper walk into the jungle. No? Rymeister, he's doing stuff.
You're
Never
struggling
mind.
here,
Yeah,
Atlas.
I know. I just really want to see the sweet dragon movement speed. Mountain Drake is going to be the next one here. Swiper. Oh.
I'm waiting and nothing's happening.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have it. He's still battling
I
stuff.
still have
That's
no
the
idea
problem.
what you're talking about.
Well, there was a little green. Never mind.
You're imagining
Look,
it.
we'll see whether it happens.
Absolutely imagining it.
Yeah.
Next dragon, though,
Yeah.
can't be a cloud drake.
Well, it's not. It's in fact a Mountain Drake, as we can see there, top left. A little bit more neutral control.
And you would imagine the Chiefs' attention, not even necessary for the mountain drake, but now that it is 20 minutes in this game.
See? Look at that.
Okay. Is that Soraka?
No.
You sure it's not Soraka?
Spooks was doing it before.
Okay. But that's your teammate, Spooks. It doesn't kill the scuttle quicker.
See, no, but look, he has Rusty's opinion of Soraka. Wants to throw spears at it.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, you're right. That's a lot of move speed, though. Look
Oh,
at how
look at him
fast
go!
Ejim goes.
Oh, man. This is the best thing ever. Triple Cloud Drake, I thought, wasn't going to be as cool, but now that it has the cool green animation, I'm sold. Completely sold. Who needs like 24% stats?
But it seriously is disgustingly fast. They move with like a 45 bonus move speed now, just generally walking out of combat. Rymeister's defaulting to cheese.
Well, there it is. Swiffer using the distortion. There goes the passive. Does use a Mimic Distort, gets himself out. Sin unable to find too much, but Swiffer does have to go back to base and
LeBlanc
use the flash.
actually getting saved from the passive primarily there, I will say.
Juve saying, thanks very much for the lead.
Small battles. Radier, though, actually very smartly picking up the next part of his item. Execution is calling.
Yeah, looking for that mortal reminder, but making sure that he can stop the healing out of
Here we go.
Kindred and oh, the Maokai,
Wow.
but Rogue not going to be able to quite find the ultimate there, but gets it onto Radier. Juve's jumping forward. There's the flash from Radier, gets himself out. Teleport. Yeah, Swiffer looking for it there. The teleport immediately answered here from Squiggle as Spooks making his way in from the side. Rymeister just gets deleted there as Juves does have to use the ultimate now in the back line. Swiper standing on top of it, get himself as much healing as possible. Spear not going to find it. Juves is going to be safe for now. The Chicken's actually looking to try and take him down, but not going to happen. Chiefs continue the siege.
Yeah, Juve's barely living, but it's also low health bars on the Kindred and high health bars available for the Chiefs. Once again, Soraka coming up trumps and Spooks with the healing.
Yeah, just heal the Soraka with the Nidalee, and Soraka heals everyone else.
Yes.
Disgusting.
Absolutely is, but the Chiefs, they get themselves the next turret and they're moving around the map slowly and surely. They're starting to secure themselves this entire game as that gold lead grows further.
Yeah, using those Cloud Drakes. Let's watch it kick in. There it is. Oh, so exciting. Chiefs actually going to head back to base now. Look at all of the wards around the Baron Pit as well. You have a feeling that's probably where they're going to be heading to next. Unable to quite break open the base, but 5 turrets to 2. 4 kills to 1. It's been a slowish game, but now 8,000 gold the lead. And the Chiefs just being clinical.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the funny thing. We talked about these conflicting styles before the game started.
Yeah.
Chiefs very much more inclined to these skirmishes early and Sin were playing the slow, methodical map, well, it feels like it's come back to haunt them. The new draft actually working out really nicely here for the Chiefs.
Yeah, and it feels like a bit of luck there as well. These Cloud Drakes actually working out for exactly what this Chiefs team comp wants to do. Move around the map, disengage, re-engage, find the objectives that they're looking for.
For what it's worth, I will say 3 of any other dragon would have been more useful.
Not about that.
It helps.
That is a very
like,
good
if
point.
you're going to get a Cloud Drake, may as well get 3 of them.
Yeah, but normally, it'd be awful. Normally, you'd just be very, very depressed. Rhymaster looking for a dive. Doesn't find it there under Raider, who does use that Arcane Shift aggressively. The rest of the Chiefs converging. Spook's a little bit further back. Lots of pings going down here. You can see Chiefs want to head straight up that mid lane. Inhibitor possibly under fire now. Free Wave is going to get decimated.
And once again, I have to reiterate the fact that I'm a big fan of Raider's itemization, simply because the Q from the Ezreal actually applies the Grievous Wound from the Executioner's Calling, and it's an AoE as well. So being able to...
you get it off the proc of the Iceborne at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is super cool.
So the thing is, like, all of the healing that comes from a Kindred ultimate, all of the Rise ultimate healing as well, like, this is actually really smart from Raider and selfless.
Well, you can see Chiefs start off the Baron here as there's the double distortion. Squiggle actually looking for this as a bit of a re-engage. Heads back to his original. Maokai slightly out of position. The Chiefs just looking to chase after. Rogue blocks the spear. And Sin able to disengage effectively.
Squiggle's tanky. He's not going to go down anytime soon, and actually dodged the chains from Swiffer when he used that twisted advance. So well done from Sin in the way of disengaging. Very hard to do against the Chiefs' team composition. If the spear connects or the chains connect, even Raider's Q with the slow application. There's a lot of options here for the Chiefs. I guess even the Cloud Drakes.
Yep.
But Sin, they do well. They just need to reset. They need to actually find a way into a fight as a direct engage, because at the moment all the Chiefs are doing is running away very quickly.
You can see Spooks is going to be able to take down this Rift Scuttler. Another mark. Going to go begging here on the side of Juves, but Dragon is up in a second. Chiefs with slightly better positioning. Spook's going to immediately start that one up. So, neutral control, a big deal right now. They are looking to go for that Baron, which Sin have been able to grab a little bit of vision around. Swiffer looking for wraps. He does need to be careful. My God. He has to now go back to base. Ignite ticking down. Spooks is going to be able to take this Dragon on his own.
I'm actually not even sure what it was. It wasn't down. Was it? No, it was ticking down. Either way.
Yeah.
Sin
Not a fifth
definitely-
dragon buff.
Yeah,
I know that
exactly.
much.
Sin definitely struggling though. And this is 4 Drakes actually secured by the Chiefs now, which means if they get the Elder, you get 45 extra on-hit damage with every auto attack. I
And you
believe.
sprint around the map, Rusty.
Yes, and it doubles the buff that you currently... Oh, sorry. 50% more effective is every buff that you currently have, which is a pretty silly.
That's going to change people's run out, like walk animations based purely on the dragons. Because everyone's just going to be launching. Be
So what
ready
they
already.
actually have is like 4.5 Cloud Drakes, which they're getting.
Pretty big. Of course, that spawns at 35 minutes into this game, so another 6 minutes.
Another mountain though. Baron will be taken very quickly from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Very quickly, of course. They get, I think it's 4% on 6.10 bonus true damage. It doesn't amplify your smite as well. Something that needs to be considered, so no
Change
true damage.
Between 6.9 and 6.10.
That's right. Chiefs will still do it very quickly, however.
Well, Blade of the Wrong King is actually just done here for Radio. So, quickly. Very true.
Still, control is established by the Chiefs, and whilst they are playing this slow, it is out of necessity. Remember, whilst that gold lead is still unreasonably large for the Chiefs, it's never going to be game-ending unless they execute impeccably, just based off their draft alone.
Yeah. And it's actually interesting watching the Chiefs play this one out, of course, with that big lead, not making the overly aggressive moves, just setting up the vision, keeping the poke up if they can.
And it's not that
out.
they're giving Sin an opportunity either, because they are still playing it methodically, right? Like, you make a mistake, you give Sin an opportunity. And
Oh, there's the flash
take
forward,
it.
actually. Rhymaster looking for Swiffer. In fact, the ultimate comes down.
he baited him.
Yeah, really cute there as Swiffer is going to make his way in. There's the flash forward. He lands the chain. No, he doesn't. As Rhymaster does use that Seraph's Embrace. Spear, not going to find it. Rhymaster now running through his jungle. True Shot Barrage, not going to see it. There's Spooks with the Guardian Angel chasing after. Spear going to be dodged one more time, but Swiffer gets him with the mimicked distortion for the kill.
Very cute from Swiffer, actually baiting him with the fake clone.
He baited me. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, out of the LeBlanc, but Soraka's heals actually helping an abundance in the way of getting out of that one. All of the vision is set from the Chiefs. All of the control of this map is set for 30 more seconds. You would imagine this is going to be the Baron take.
Yeah, 23 seconds now, and Rymeister does have the teleport. If Sin do want to make their way in, but yeah, you're exactly right. All Raps, he gets hit and exploded. Twisted Advance is going to follow Swiffer back, though. Doesn't have the distortion in order to get things happening. Spooks flashes over the wall, gets the pounce onto Juves. And there's the Subjugate just sucking the health out of him. Does use the ultimate, is going to be fine here, but Swiper is just so big. Swiffer as well, still in the back line, but misjudges the timing. Radiant over the top, though, does manage to take down Juves. Rogue and Squiggle just going to limp away from this one. Baron didn't get taken, but now Chiefs looking for the base of Sin.
Yeah, but once again, this Baron has always been a bait from the Chiefs. They want to push you into their domain where they have the vision control set up and can then execute these team fights. Swiffer's assassination is always key.
Yeah, well, Rymeister looking to try and answer back, but Spooks just deletes him. That takedown doing work there as Squiggle and Rogue.
Careful.
Looking to try and save this inhibitor. Raps is going to make his way in. The ambush is up. Not going to blow the ultimate. Just staying calm. And they keep the inhib.
Once again, the Chiefs back away. There's no chasing them. It's just not physically capable for this Sin roster. Raiders overstaying his welcome by a very large amount. They get out safely. Of course, no mana available, so they couldn't continue that push, even though they had complete control. All they really need to do now is reset, give Swiffer that blue buff, maybe even look towards the Scuttle Crab in the bottom lane for the mark for Juves, which means even more time for Chiefs to work Baron.
Well, Rogue clearing out vision. Swiffer going to be able to take his blue buff, just explodes it with the chain proc. After that sigil, looks like it is the Mortal Reminder as item number 4 here for Radio. Is Ezreal really getting to the point of strength? Massive amounts of cooldown reduction. Will be able to melt through Squiggle.
Yeah. And that's what's cool about his build, right? He went for the Executioner's Calling and then finished Blade of the Ruin King. Oh, I just stunned again.
Headbutt.
Oh, it's not even bad.
But doesn't get the pink ward.
Either way, they can't afford to leave this top side of the map. And it becomes that dance for vision once again. Swiper is starting to outscale Squiggle. And whilst the Maokai is an important pick for team fighting, because it's really good into LeBlanc, and diffusing a lot of that damage, if Raps dies before he can react, then it's not really of any use at all.
Yeah, well, Spooks throws down a ward, pink goes in. Sin are going to be able to lock him down, but very aggressive positioning. Spooks, of course, all on his lonesome. Does have his team in support, but just clearing out vision over and over again.
But it's a lot of vision cleared. Like, this is to the point where, thankfully, Sin have got a cheeky ward to the left of the Baron. If that wasn't there, they wouldn't be this confident in where they're walking.
You can see Squiggle actually taking a lot of damage here. Swiper's going to ignore him. Subjugate is, of course, available. Squiggle now taking so much damage. Swiper just says, thanks for your stats, I'm going to destroy your jungle, your tower. As Rymeister, he's going to make his way over the top, so Swiper could be in a heck of a lot of trouble. Subjugate's going to wear off. Swiper's going to die, and Sin grab their second kill of the game. We'll see whether the Chiefs can now move over to this Baron, pick that one up. But remember,
Teleports are up.
yeah, at least one of them is. Rymeister very close to his, and Chiefs back off.
Yeah, as far as the Chiefs were concerned, they both had teleports. There's no reason for Rymeister to make that play if he didn't. And he makes the play because of the Void Staff that he also has picked up. So he's doing a lot of damage to Swiper right now. And I would actually imagine the lane assignments change here from Sin to put Rymeister against him, to be perfectly honest with you. He's a nice dragon.
Yeah, double
Normally
mount.
this would be a 5th dragon.
Most certainly is. They only have another 10 seconds until theoretically the Elder Drake would spawn.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, so normally this would be game over 5th dragon, like massive buff in the face. Cop that one, Sin, but not this time. Because after this is taken, you still have to wait 6 minutes
Yeah,
for the Elder to actually spawn. But if they ever get that Elder Dragon, I think Soraka could 1v1 Rymeister.
But it's not like they managed to get like 3 Infernal Drakes and 2 Mountain Drakes or something like that, which would have been ludicrous. I mean, that's what? An extra 50% base stats? Just something insane.
Off the top of my head, they're going to be doing like 225 maybe bonus damage with every attack.
Just completely
Overtime.
ballistic.
So like, a Soraka can 1v1 anybody.
Yeah.
Let's put the silence down. Auto attack them. You'll outtrade them.
Battle bananas.
That's a lot of dragon. Like, seriously, that is an unreasonably large amount of dragons taken. But if they wait for 41 minutes, they've probably made a mistake anyway here, Chiefs. Struggling to execute on actually getting the Baron down is the concern here. Sin are pestering, but they're persistently doing it.
Raps struggling to find farm a little bit here. Down about 60 in comparison to Radier, who has been doing well. Mortal Reminder now completed. One more item slot available for the Ezreal. His outer turret in mid lane is being sieged down. Of course, only 2 turrets being taken here from Sin. 7 for the Chiefs. They do need to start getting rid of structures. Just not being able to quite find their way in. Chiefs always with the answering movements.
You know, they're still giving Sin opportunities. That's the problem, right? Like, they're playing this game. They've got all of this control of the map. They got the Rift Herald. They at least denied it from Sin. They've got 5 of these dragon buffs or Drake buffs available to them. But still, no combat stats available to them. Nothing to secure them the Baron just yet. They have started this as a 2-man, however. The Chiefs are playing coy. We'll see how Sin reacts, because this is going to die.
Yeah, outer turret does fall in the mid lane. Now Sin
Look
moving their way around. Yeah, Rymeister look to try and start something up as Squiggles right in the front line. They throw down the pillar, but Squiggles still looking for it. Right in the back line is Swiffer. They're not going to find a deletion. The Baron, of course, has fallen down. And Rymeister might get kited out here. There's the flash in. I mean, the Arcane Shift there, but the Lambswell Spike goes down. Raps needs to get some damage across for the Chiefs. Find their way on top. Massive Mimic Distortion into the back line. Triple kill immediately there for Swiffer. And Squiggle now 1 versus 4. Ejim, the quadra kill comes in, and Swiper is going to round that one out as the ace is there for the Chiefs. They take their time. They get there in the end.
But they can just work towards the top lane now and definitely at least look towards ending this game. 20 seconds on the nearest respawn timer here for Rogue. They've got the Baron buff, they've got the promoted minion, everything in the making. And once again, Swiffer was seeing red, and he timed that fight so impeccably well.
9-0-3 for this LeBlanc in the mid lane. Swiffer, welcome back to the OPL for Split 2. Looking dominant right now. And the Chiefs,
That's it.
new gaming house, new practice regime. Swiffer, of course, Froskerin mentioned it on the desk, like what's going to happen once this guy gets that level of practice? Well, good things for the Chiefs.
Absolutely. The gaming house potentially paying off. It is still new for them.
Most certainly
We'll see
is.
how things progress for them past this point. But for a game 1 in the OPL against Sin, who were the semi-finalists against them, that's a pretty big statement to make.
Most certainly is. And of course, with a team comp that's very specific, I love the fact that they managed to pick up the Cloud Drakes. Of course, like lots of movement speed around the map did help them out with what they wanted to do. But I just like it, EGM sort of moving away from the Alistair Braum, which is something that he was definitely favoring in the last split, able to transition here into the Soraka like Froskerin was talking about. It's really good to see this Chiefs roster changing things up, adapting to 6.10.
Yeah, they still played the map very well, I will say. All the dragon control, all the map control was theirs.
Yeah, really, really nice stuff. But we are going to throw it back to the desk for some further breakdown of that game.
Thank you so much, Atlas. And Chiefs are able to pick up game 1 over Sim, but it is a best of 3. We'll get to some adaptations in a second, but I just want to touch on, a couple of things here. A cool team comp out of the Chiefs. Soraka and Nidalee, they work surprisingly well together.
So the beautiful thing about Soraka and Nidalee is that Soraka uses health to heal people, and so you make sure that Nidalee is always healing the Soraka, so effectively you get infinite heals from that champion. And I know that you're going to talk about the GA Soul Strikes, but I kind of feel like that GA was 2 buy 1 get 1 free. It was like a GA for Nidalee and a GA for Soraka.
Yeah, but he could have bought like a Lich Bane and got more mana and sustained through more healing. But yeah, Ejim and Spook's just sustaining and healing their full team. Ejim, the Soraka god, like I mentioned.
Yeah, so there you go. They do actually bring in a couple of new picks here for the Chiefs. Also want a hit on the mid lane pickup here, Froskin, specifically what the itemization did for assassins in that mid lane.
Okay, so we had the mage overhaul as well as itemization overhaul, and the thing is most of these buffs are going to control mages, but assassins kind of ended up in a very interesting scenario. I think we do have a graphic somewhere. Let's get a close up, and here we go. So what this graphic is actually telling you is kind of the different ways that you can path into this. Now, what Swiffer ended up doing is he went Morello's into Abyssal into Void staff. Now, the beauty about Morello's is it just got a buff. I believe it's more expensive this time around, but you have more stats on it as well as a really cool battle passive. Abyssal has always been a super cost-efficient item. And the thing is when you look collectively at the mage rework items, is a lot of them maybe lost like between 20 and 30 AP But if you use that in tandem with the blue buff, which is an extra 15%, it pretty much compensates for that, and those builds all just got cheaper. And then the other cool thing, Spawn, that you like to talk about is this idea that if you go into Abyssal and Hourglass, as well as Morello, you get 40% CDR as well as MR and armor, which is pretty absurd for your cost efficiency. So these build paths in general are just so much stronger than they used to be.
Yeah, and getting all those 40% CDR means like you can go in and press the Zhonya's, then you have enough CDR to rotate your spells once again, and yeah, it's just a fantastic item build for now.
And it makes you so flexible against any type of opponent that you're going to see across from in the mid lane. The fact that you have a very stable, the Hourglass going into armor or the Abyssal going into the MR, and then going straight for that penetration very early. It's just so much stronger than they used to be.
So, cool comps, cool builds aside, the Chiefs this game were just dominant around the map. I mean, we got to see a lot of the dragon stacking that came into effect. We didn't get an Elder out in the end, but that would have amplified it a lot. What do you think Sin takes away from this initial game in regards to how you have to control the dragons?
So Sin actually kind of lost out in their own lane swap scenario. Like Israel and Soraka like shoved the bot wave, and Trundle versus Maokai, like Trundle just wins that and just eat the Maokai up. So Chiefs had like full control of the dragon, and it was a bit unfortunate they got 3 Cloud Dragon, but I guess they could move and rotate faster around the map. But yeah, just they were looking at that getting the 6th Dragon, which is insane.
Apart from just like the stat breakdown and like the champion breakdown, the thing that's most concerning for me is we talked about this, Swiffer usually neutralizes lanes, and it's up to Radier to step up and to be that big carry. But the quadra kill at the end and the LeBlanc performance, that double distortion on like 20 people in that last team fight shows that, yeah, we already knew that Swiffer can carry, but that's not what you wanted in a Chief game. If Swiffer's the one that's carrying, it's like he's just the first boss. The final boss is always going to be Radier on this team, and he didn't even need to.
Yeah, certainly didn't. So Chiefs were able to pick up game 1, but don't go anywhere, guys. Game 2 is just around the corner. Chiefs versus Sim will be back in 3.5.